What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back to another entry into our testing round series where we take a look at some new deck ideas that a set gives us and we put together some rough unrefined lists, that way we can just start testing and see what has potential. So we're looking at a couple new Burning Shadows decks today, and on the left I'm going to be playing Alolan Muk GX, and then on the right Marcus is going to be playing Noivern GX. So two highly annoying decks battling it out here to see which deck can annoy their opponent into submission, basically. So if you guys are unfamiliar with these cards, Alolan Muk, his main attack does 10 plus 70 more for every special condition on your opponent's active Pokemon. So we're playing things like Salazzle in the deck to, afflict these special conditions to do more damage. So that's the main way we are going to try to take knockouts with Muk. And then Noivern is annoying for its own reasons, similarly to the old Seismitoad EX, which you can see on Marcus's mat there. Noivern has an attack that will lock items for just one double dragon energy, does 50 damage, and your opponent can't play items on their next turn. So very similar to the old Seismitoad EX decks from previous formats. And then Marcus is also playing the Golbat line in his deck as well, kind of trying to revive the old Toad Bats archetype and updating it for this current format. So we'll see how these decks are going to do against each other. And here I start with a Tapu Koko, which is great. Definitely the best starter in the deck since it has free retreat. And then Marcus is just going to end both of us, so I'm fine with that. I don't remember thinking my hand was all that great, if I remember correctly. And Marcus unfortunately has to start with a Shaman EX, which is definitely not good. I mean, Marcus plays, I think, like 8 or 9 other basics in this deck, and he had to start with the Shaman of all things. I'm sure he's not happy about that. Here, I'm going to get a fresh hand. Okay, it looks like I do have a Bridget for my next turn, so I'll be excited about that. And it looks like Marcus is going to get down a Zubat and a Magearna EX, but does he have a Noibat? That's going to be the big thing he needs to get down this turn. She's going to play Super Scoop Up, picking up that Shaman EX, which is nice because he will be able to play that and draw some more cards. So let's see. Okay, he does have an Ultra Ball, so that means he is going to be able to get out a Noibat this turn. But here, what does he discard? I see a Noivern GX in his hand, an Ultra Ball. Okay, it looks like he's just going to get rid of both of those, so that tells me he probably has another Noivern in his hand if he is going to choose to discard this one. And so for you guys who aren't too familiar, Super Scoop Up is a card that recently got reprinted in Burning Shadows. You flip a coin, if heads you pick up one of your Pokemon All cards attached to it. So that was the card Marcus played earlier. And another quick note, we actually didn't have any Zubats on hand when we went to test out this game, or record this game, so Marcus is playing with these old Zubats back from Plasma Storm, but they're just proxies for the newest ones, I think from Sun and Moon, that have 50 hit points. So just a quick note, but it's probably not too relevant. But anyway, so Marcus did pass over to me, and I am going to play Bridget, which is great. I got down 2 Grimers and 2 Salazzles, so starting to get set up pretty decently. Just need an energy attachment for turn, that's going to be the big thing. So we'll see what, okay, I do have a Rescue Stretcher in hand, not too relevant, have a double colorless, have a Float Stone. So probably going to attach the Float Stone just in preparation of Marcus shutting off my item cards on his next turn. Here I have some options though. I have a double colorless energy in hand, I can attach to Tapu Koko and start softening up Marcus's board, or I could attach to Grimer to potentially, start getting a Muk powered up, since Muk's attack cost is a Dark in DCE. So it's hard to say. Tapu Koko would soften some things up, and I think I'm going to go that route because if Marcus does get out a Noivern GX and locks my item cards, I won't be able to get down Choice Band, which will be actually a very important card to one-shotting a Noivern GX. So I think this is the better route to go, just doing 20 to all of Marcus's Pokemon with Tapu Koko's Flying Flip attack. And the active Zubat did take 40 just because it is weak to lightning. Okay, so it looks like Marcus does have a Noivern GX in hand. And he is going to get down a double Dragon Energy and play another Super Scoop Up. Okay, this one is going to be Tails, and then he's just going to Sycamore. Okay, he's getting out a second Noibat and getting down his first Golbat. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Golbat, whenever you evolve into it, you get to place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So let's see where he's going to opt to put his 2 damage counters. Okay, looks like he's eyeing down that Grimer back there. And Golbat's good just because sometimes Noivern GX's attacks hit for some really awkward numbers. So sometimes you have to 3-shot stuff, but if you have your Golbats, it turns some 3 shots into 2 shots. So it just helps with the math in terms of taking certain knockouts. And Marcus gets down yet another Zubat, so he is in a fine spot right now. And here I'm just going to end both of us down. Or not necessarily down to a new hand size, but refresh both of our hands. And I did have a Salazzle in hand. I could have chosen to play that, but I really need to save Salazzle for the turns that I'm going to attack with Muk, because Muk only does a good amount of damage if your opponent's active has special conditions. And it's going to be at least one more turn before I can power up a Muk and attack, so it's better just to put the Salazzle back in the deck and try to save it for another turn. Okay, now I do have a supporter for next turn, which is good. And it looks like I'm thinking about attaching an energy somewhere. I'm going to attach a double Carlos energy to this Grimer. And we're probably just going to see another flying flip if I had to guess here. I don't think there's much else I can do at this point, so we're just going to do flying flip, putting 20 more damage on each of Marcus's Pokemon. Okay, and it is important I got that 20 down on that additional Noibat. Honestly, any more than 20 on each of these Pokemon I don't think matters too much. All of his Noibats and Noiverns need to have 20 on them though. That is going to be important. Okay, so let's see what Marcus has in hand. He has a pretty big hand there. I see an Ultra Ball, so he could potentially grab himself a second Noivern GX if he chooses to. Okay, it looks like he's double guessing himself. Here's going to do Rescue Stretcher, grabbing that Noivern out of his discard pile that he got rid of earlier. And so let's see what else he's going to do. Does he have a supporter that he wants to do? Okay, he's going to play Ultra Ball. So if I had to guess here, we're probably going to see a Golbat come down to put 20 on this Tapu Koko. That way, this Noivern can knock it out in one hit this turn. So, just a good example of what I mean, how Noivern can sometimes kind of attack for really odd numbers. Okay, so Marcus is going to evolve, and like I said, put that 20 on the active Tapu Koko. Definitely a good play on his part. And I think I see a Sycamore if I'm seeing right, but here it looks like he's opting just to hang onto his hand. And so let's see what I'm going to do this turn. I am going to get a Dark Energy down and have a Parallel City, but I did opt to discard it. I don't think it really helps me if I play it in this situation. And unfortunately, I whiff my Muk and Salazzle in order to take a knockout here. But I still do have some options. I can promote a Grimer and use its free attack to get an additional Grimer on the bench, or, and I think this is what I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to promote this other Grimer that has the DC attached and use Grimer's second attack to confuse Marcus's active. And maybe this will give me a turn to break the lock. So Marcus is going to flip heads on that Super Scoop Up, which is very annoying. That is going to pick up his Noivern, healing it off. Okay, so he's going to attach a double Dragon Energy, and I'm actually fine with this though, just because if this other Noivern hadn't been confused, he could have attached an energy and knocked me out. But here he is going to Team Flare Grunt me, which is very, very annoying. And he's just going to do 50 and continue to lock my item cards. And my hand is definitely not the best. There's a lot of things I really need right now. So I'm going to get down another Grimer. And then I think I'm just going to Sycamore. It's a lot to get rid of, but my item cards are locked anyways, and I just need to hit a lot of things here. So it looks like I hit my Alolan Muk GX. Or I actually hit 2 of them, it appears, and I have a Salazzle, but unfortunately Marcus got rid of my double Colorless Energy on his previous turn, so I'm not going to be able to take a knockout, which is very, very annoying. You can see the strategy of this Noivern deck working, pretty efficiently so far. So here what I might do is, again, I'm going to save this Salazzle because I need to save it for the turns that I'm going to attack with Muk's first attack. But I can use its GX move still. So I'm going to use its GX move. It lets me bring up one of Marcus's bench Pokemon, and I get to burn, paralyze, and poison it. So here I'm going to grab this Magearna EX. Just because Magearna actually could be a thorn in my side at some point. Just because its ability will prevent its Pokemon with Metal Energy from being affected by effects of attacks. And one of Muk's attacks discards energy. So if there's a Pokemon I'd want to strain active and potentially knock out, I'd like it to be this Magearna since it gives up 2 prizes either way. Okay, so it looks like Marcus did get out of the burn condition. He did flip to remove that, but he is still paralyzed and poisoned. And he needs a super scoop up this turn. That's going to be the big card. If he gets that and can pick up this Magearna, that's really going to set me back. But he's already gone through a few, so I'm not sure if he even has it. So he's going to get down a Choice Band, it looks like. And I'm guessing we're just going to see a pass. I feel like if he had the Super Scoop Up, he would just go for it and immediately try to play it. But here it looks like Marcus just has to pass, and that is good for me because that means I have actually broken the lock and I can play some item cards for a change. Here I'm going to go for an Ultra Ball, so let's see what I'm going to opt to grab. That's an Acerola on the bench, or that I discarded. So I'm discarding that with the Ultra Ball, and let's see what else. And it looks like a Guzma. So that tells me I might be going for a Tapu Lele. Okay, so Tapu Lele is going to let me search my deck for a new supporter card, and here I'm going to grab Sycamore. My deck is looking pretty thin at this point, but I really need to hit a couple of key cards. I need double colorless energy. That's going to be a big one here. Okay, so I'll probably play the Salazzle just to inflict the burn condition. Put a Floatstone down. Put the Choice Band down, may as well, and then just Sycamore. Okay, and I do hit the DCE, so that means we are going to be in good shape. That means we can take a knockout on this Magearna EX here. Okay, getting down another Choice Band. And taking a look what's in my discard pile. Do I have... looks like I have a Rescue Stretcher in there, so I can get a Tapu Koko back in my deck or in my hand, but I think I'm going to put it in hand because I don't have a supporter for the next turn, so I don't want to put more cards in my deck that aren't a supporter. So just going to keep it in hand, especially just in case something gets knocked out. But here I'm going to take my first knockout of the game finally, getting rid of this Magearna EX. Okay, so let's see what Marcus has to respond with here. And one thing that could actually be very bad is if Marcus is able to Flare Grunt and use Noivern's second attack to shut off my special energies or prevent me from playing special energies, that could also be a potentially really good route for him to go to. But let's see what he has. So he does have the Psychic Energy, so that's a good start. But here it looks like he's kind of second guessing himself, and it looks like he's going to attach to the other Noivern just to spread his energy out a little bit in case of one of his Noiverns going down. So here I'm not sure what he has in hand. If he does have Verse Seeker, I think I would have preferred to see the energy come on to the active in Team Flare, but he must not have it. So he's just going to play Hex Maniac, shutting off abilities on my turn, and then just doing Noivern's first attack to do 80 damage, thanks to that Choice Band. So Hex is actually very annoying because that means I cannot use Salazzle. But here I do have a Dark Energy, which is decent because I can attack for 150 thanks to my Choice Band and discard Marcus's Double Dragon Energy with Muk's attack now that this Magearna EX is not in play. The only downside of this, I've committed a lot of energy to this Alolan Muk, so if it goes down, I'm going to be in a bad spot because I don't have another attacker ready to respond. And no doubt Marcus will well, first he needs a Double Dragon Energy, but if he can get a Double Dragon Energy, he will be able to probably take a knockout. And he does have a Sycamore in hand, looks like he's eyeing that down. Let's see what he decides to do. He's going to get down another Noibat, and then looks like he's just going for the Sycamore. Okay, so let's see what he has here. I saw a Super Rod in hand. Okay, so he does have the double Dragon Energy, so he's going to be in fine shape. He does flip Tails on the Super Scoop Up, a little unfortunate because that would have completely healed that Noivern GX. But here he has double Dragon Energy. He's going to put that down on his bench Noivern, and he can actually take a knockout with Noivern's second attack, and I actually think that's a good play because I won't be able to attach double Colorless Energy, which means I will need 3 Dark Energies and a Salazzle, you know, to really do a lot of damage with Muk. Okay, let's see what else he might have. He is going to play Super Rod. Getting back looks like Espeon EX, Magearna EX, and a Psychic Energy back in deck. All good cards for this matchup. So Marcus, I think, is definitely in a super good spot at this point. You know, after this Muk I have goes down, I'm going to be in kind of a sketchy position. Okay, so let's see if he has anything else he can do before he takes a knockout. I'm not sure if he does, but we'll probably just see an attack here for 120, knocking out this Muk, because, yeah, that'll be enough. So it looks like he's conflicted about something, but I don't know what else he can do. He can't evolve anything else this turn. He's already played Scoop Up, so here he is going to knock out this Alolan Muk GX, and let's see what I have. Okay, the only good side to this is, even though I cannot play Special Energy, I can still play item cards because Marcus did not use the first attack on Noivern GX. Here I'm just checking what all I've used. I do have a Versus Seeker in hand, so I could potentially end both of us. I can maybe try to Guzma something. I don't know, but I'll probably guess I'm going to see an end here. Because I have a bunch of Dark Energy in hand, I really don't think I can afford to get rid of it. Here it looks like I'm actually eyeing down this Guzma. So that must tell me I'm probably going to play this Tapu Lele that I have in my hand. Okay, it looks like I'm... okay, I had 2 Versus Seekers apparently, my mistake. So I'm going to get back both this N and this Guzma. And I would imagine we'll probably see an N. Okay, that seems good. Actually, I just realized I had the other Alolan Muk in play anyways. So it's the Alolan Muk from Sun and Moon that turns off abilities for basic Pokemon. So I actually did not have the option to use Tapu Lele like I was thinking a second ago. So my mistake, guys. So I wanted to grab that Guzma, put that back in my deck, just because if Marcus does decide to start locking my items again, it will be in my deck, and I won't have to rely on Versus Seeker to use it. Okay, let's see what I end up getting here, though. I'm going to play Ultra Ball, getting rid of, unfortunately, a Dark Energy. That's going to be very precious at this point, I think. Okay, and here I'm just looking what's in my deck. I think I only have 1 Dark Energy left, so that actually could be really bad. Here I'm just going to retreat into Tapu Koko and just pass. So maybe I made a little bit of a misplay, actually. I probably should have discarded the double colorless I had in hand, just because Marcus can keep shutting off my energies for the rest of the game. So I think that might have been a misplay on my part. Just kind of maybe betting against Marcus using the second attack. Just because it's so tempting just to be able to just continually lock item cards. But I definitely think the way to go on Marcus's side is to just lock my special energy. I think at this point in the game that is going to be what's better. So I think I definitely misplayed by getting rid of the dark energy instead of the double colorless. Here Marcus is going to do Field Blower, getting rid of my Choice Band. And that is pretty bad as well because he's getting rid of my Floatstone. So that's pretty bad just because I did need Choice Band in order to take a knockout on this Noivern GX. So I think the Choice Band almost like kind of seals the game at this point. I still need to take a knockout on 2. I think I have 4 prizes left. So 2 GXs or EXs, and I'm just not sure if I can do that at this point in the game. So I would have to like get lucky with Lysander stalling something, or like Guzma stalling. And I only have a couple cards left in deck as well, so I can't Sycamore at this point. So I Might just have to pass here, unfortunately. Okay, so Marcus is going to get down another double dragon energy, and I think, like I said, this game is pretty much wrapped up at this point. He can take a knockout on this Salazzle. So let's see what he is going to decide to do. Here it looks like he's actually going to Lysander Lele, which, I mean, I think it's an okay play, but I think I would have preferred, well, here I top deck a Floatstone just to troll Marcus. I think the better play would have been just to knock out his or my Salazzle, and then next turn Lysandering up a Salandit to knock it out. But either way, Marcus still has the Guzma, so he is going to be able to... okay, and it looks like Marcus is going to use his GX move in order to win the game here. So, and just worth noting, Noivern GX's GX move does 50 to all of your opponent's Pokemon in play. So, Marcus took the first game pretty decisively, actually. Noivern putting in plenty of work. And here, luckily, since I did lose, I do get to choose who goes first, and so I think I'm going to pick to do that, just because I need to play a lot of cards before I get item locked, and hopefully get a good setup going before Marcus starts disrupting me a lot. So one card that unfortunately did not come into play in this matchup that you may have seen me discard was Parallel City. Parallel City is actually a really good card against this deck because it is reliant on having things like multiple Golbats, maybe a bench sitter or two like a Lele or Shaman, having Magearna. So there's all sorts of Pokemon Marcus is going to need on his bench, but by the time I had Parallel City, he already had all those things on there anyways, so it would have only helped him because he could have discarded things like Shaman and cleared his board of useless Pokemon. So if I can get out Parallel City before Marcus really gets a big board, that could also be a very big factor here. Okay, so it looks like we're going to start setting up, and I do start with a Salandit, I think it was. Okay, and Marcus gets a double Noibat start, so that's pretty good for him. Here I'm going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of, looks like an Alolan Muk and a Salazzle. I do have a Rescue Stretcher in hand, so that tells me I'm probably just going to put them back into my deck and Sycamore later. So one thing that's worth mentioning, I could have used Tapu Lele to grab something like a Bridget to get, all of the Pokemon I need in play. But the reason I'm not doing that is because I really need to dig through my deck and play as many item cards as I can before I get item locked. So as long as I have one Salandit and one Grimer in play, I can make do with that. So here I rather just play Sycamore and dig and be a little bit more aggressive. And here I actually hit that Parallel City that I was just mentioning, and that is going to be very big in this matchup. So Marcus does have a Noivern in hand. I see an Ultra Ball. He's going to get rid of a Hex Maniac, and it looks like a Golbat. So let's see what he is going to opt to grab here. So maybe a Tapu Lele or a... okay. So that tells me Marcus must not have a supporter in hand, or a draw supporter at least, because he is going for the N. If he did have a draw supporter, I think a better play would have been a Zubat, but I cannot see what was in his hand. So, but most importantly, he does have two Noibats in play. These are going to be his main attackers once they evolve, so luckily his board isn't too clogged up at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Okay, and let's see here. What else does he have? I see a double Dragon Energy in his hand, but that's not going to be good until for another turn. Oh, okay, and here Marcus actually went to attach it, forgetting that Noibat is not a Dragon type, so he cannot attach the energy just yet. He needs to wait until he gets down his Noivern GX. Okay, so here I top deck another Parallel City. Let's see, I have Alolan Muk in play. So let's see what I'm going to do. I have a double Carlos in hand, I have a Dark Energy in hand. So I could put a Dark Energy on this Muk and try to hit a Floatstone and Salazzle this turn, but I think what I'd rather do is I'd rather spread my energy out, concede the fact that I'm not going to attack for another turn, because if possible, I want to use my Salazzles to take 2 prizes, not 1 prizes off Noibat. So here I'm going to grab a Bridget with this Tapu Lele because I am about to Sycamore. And Tapu Lele is a decent attacker. It can trade decently well with Noivern GX. It can 2-shot them, depending on the amount of energy on both Pokemon. So I'm just going to get that Bridget out of my deck, that way I don't draw into it anymore. And just going to discard my hand and get a fresh hand of 7. Okay, and actually I'm very content with this hand. I have a Guzma in hand, I have a Salazzle for next turn, so I will definitely, if nothing else, be able to take a knockout on this Tapu Lele GX that Marcus has. So I'm feeling good. So Marcus does have the Noivern and Double Dragon Energy and the Choice Band. Okay, he does have Verse Seeker. He could play an N here, could play Sycamore, I see. I'm not sure what else he has. Looks like he's just kind of thinking, what does he want to do at this point? And okay, it looks like he is going to Verse Seeker for the end. Going to refresh both of our hands. I was a little bummed he did end just because my hand was so good, but nevertheless, I think he'll be okay. Still get a fresh hand of 6. So Marcus, I think, really needs to get down a Zubat this turn. I think that's the other thing he's really missing. If he can get a Field Blower to get rid of this Perilous City, that could also be very good as well, just because he is going to need some bench spots in this matchup. So he does get another Noivern GX, which is nice. Okay, and it looks like he's just going to do 50 to this Salazzle, or I'm sorry, this Salandit. And he is going to start locking my item card, so a little bit annoying because now I can't play Float Stones. So that means it's going to force me to manually attach and retreat. So that means I won't be able to attack with Muck this turn, if I do choose to manually retreat. I do have a Salazzle in hand. I could Salazzle and then maybe try to retreat into a Tapu Lele to attack. I think that's an option. Another option is to use Muk's GX move to try to bring up this Lele and strand it in the active spot. Or maybe even this other Noivern, potentially. So here it looks like I'm just going to end. Like I said earlier, I do want to save my Salazzles for whenever I attack with Muk, if possible. But, you know, even though I've had a couple of awkward turns, this Perilous City, like I said, I think is really helping me out, making sure Marcus can't get down a lot of the Pokemon he needs to in this matchup. So ideally, if I can just draw a Dark Energy, or even a Double Carlos, any way to retreat this Salandit, that would be good, but unfortunately I do not get it. And here I just have to pass. That means this Salandit is going to go down. More than likely, unless Marcus does decide to like Lysander me or something like that. So Marcus does get down another Noibat, and I actually really don't like this play. Just to be honest, you have 2 Noivern in play already. You need that extra spot for one of your bats, or maybe even Magearna EX. So I really don't like that play. Like I said, he still has Super Rod and Rescue Stretcher in his deck. So again, just not a big fan of that particular play. But here Marcus is going to do another 50 damage, continue to lock my item cards. Okay, and here I'm just going to end both of us. Okay, so Marcus is going to get 5 cards. I'm going to get 6. And right now this Tapu Lele GX that I have is going to do 80 damage. If I get another energy down, I can 2-shot this Noivern. And here I do draw into a Dark and a Double Carlos Energy. So here, what I think I should do is attach the Dark to Muk, potentially, or attach it to Tapu Lele. I think either one of those plays is fine. But here, it looks like I'm actually thinking about attaching the Double Carlos to Muk. I think I'm just scared of Marcus' second attack, but I do think that's definitely a misplay because now I actually can't 2-shot this Noivern GX. Right now I'm only doing 80 with Tapu Lele's attack, and next turn if I attach a Double Carlos Energy, or attach a dark energy, I will be 20 short of knocking out this Noivern. So I think I definitely misplayed there, or I miscalculated some damage, I believe, this turn. But let's see what Marcus does. He has Super Scoop Up in hand, so that could be very big. If he can pick up this Noivern GX, that would actually really set me behind here. Let's see if Marcus can roll this die. It did go off camera, so let's see what he did get. Maybe it was a tail since he isn't picking up anything. Okay, so here it looks like he is going to attach a double dragon to his other Noivern. So let's see what he's going to opt to do. So that might be telling me he's like considering using Noivern's second attack. Here he is going to Verse Seeker, going for another Hex, and just shutting off my abilities, which I'm pretty much fine with actually. So let's see. It's basically forcing me to have a double Colorless energy if I want to knock out this Noivern. And Marcus, I think, just thinks that is a little bit unlikely. And here I did forget to put my damage on my my Tapu Lele, so I'm just updating the damage that's on him. Here it looks like I'm going to attach a Dark to my Alolan Muk on the bench, and here I'm going to use Acerola to actually pick up my Tapu Lele GX to put it in my hand. So Acerola is a new supporter from Burning Shadows. You get to pick up one of your Pokemon with damage counters and put it and all cards attached to it back into your hand. But here I'm just going to use Alolan Muk's GX move to bring up this Tapu Lele and paralyze, burn, and poison it. So I think I actually probably should have done this to his other Noivern. I think that would have been a little bit smarter. I think I was thinking, oh, Noivern has free retreat, so I should do it to Tapu Lele. But if you're paralyzed, you can't retreat either way. So I think I'm making some suboptimal plays here these past couple turns. But one thing that is worth noting, if you guys are new to this channel or haven't seen these testing rounds videos before, a lot of times these are maybe our first, second, or third times playing the decks. So we still are very unfamiliar with them and are kind of learning them as we're playing. So just something to keep in mind when watching these videos. But anyways, Marcus is going to Sycamore. He's going to play Super Scoop Up. And fortunately he got Tails. That was actually a huge flip. He really needed that. Okay, so let's see what else is he going to do. He does have a Choice Band in hand. He has a Psychic Energy in hand. I do see a Zubat. So that would have been big. He could have picked up this Tapu Lele and put a Zubat down in its place. But the biggest thing is he would have been able to deny me a knockout. Because if I have an energy, or not even an energy, yeah, you know, as long as he keeps these special conditions, I can knock it out. So, like I said, definitely a big whiff on that Super Scoop Up. So here he's just going to pass over to me. He is going to flip, and he is unburned. Okay, but luckily I'm still in a good spot because Muk's attack will do 10 plus 70 more for the poison condition, plus the Choice Band and poison damage will knock out this Tapu Lele at the end of my turn. So let's see, I do have a Lele in hand. Looks like I'm debating playing that. I like that. Let's see what I want to get out of my deck. Could go for... Okay, it looks like I'm not opting to get anything, so that tells me I'm probably just going to Sycamore this turn. So I'm going to play down that other double Colorless energy that I had picked up with my Lele last turn. I do have a Grimer in hand. I don't think I need to play it, to be honest, just because I don't see myself powering up 3 Muks in one game. So I'm just going to Sycamore it away. And so let's see here. I do have a Field Blower in hand, so I could play that as well. But here I'm going to Ultra Ball away a Hex Maniac and another Alolan Muk GX. That seems good to me. Just to grab another Tapu Lele, potentially for next turn. If Marcus does decide to lock my item cards, I will still have a way to get a new hand with Tapu Lele. So definitely wanted to play the Ultra Ball before Marcus's next turn. And I'm going to play the Field Blower as well, while I have the chance, getting rid of that Choice Band. I'm going to put down my own Choice Band on my bench to Alolan Muk. Here, I'm just checking what all Marcus has used at this point in the game. I forget what I was looking for. I think I was checking if I wanted to play the Lele this turn, but he's already played 3 Versus Seekers and his Hex, so it's unlikely he's going to be able to Hex me, so I feel like I'm safe just holding it for the next turn. Here Marcus is going to attach another Choice Band. He can put down a Zubat now. That is worth noting. That might be important at some point here, especially for taking a knockout on that bench to land it. That could be important. Looks like he's debating between that or Shaman, but I think Zubat's probably more important here. And he is going to play Super Rod first before Sycamore, because I did see a Sycamore in his hand. So he's going to get back Golbat, a Noibat, and that Tapu Lele. So he really just needs to hit his Field Blower. This Parallel City has been, I think, a big pain for Marcus to deal with this game. So he's going to Sycamore his hand away, putting out Shaman, some other cards in the discard pile. And does he hit it? He really just needs that Field Blower to start filling up his bench. I'm not sure what all he has in hand. I do see a Psychic Energy, but I'm not sure if there's anything else relevant. I think I see a Noibat in there too. I see a Sycamore for next turn. So let's see what he does. If I had to guess, we'll probably just see him swing for 80, but I might even consider just doing the 150 while you have the chance. Okay, so he is going to just attack for... Okay, I forgot. His first attack will do 80 because of the Choice Band, so I guess that's okay. I would have maybe preferred the second attack just because he would be able to 2-shot me, but now he's going to be forced to 3-shot me. Unless he gets out his Golbat next turn. If he gets out Golbat, he'll be in a fine spot. Okay, so let's see. So I did get down Salazzle to, you know, make this Noivern affected by special conditions and all that stuff, and was able to knock it out. So let's see what Marcus is going to do here. He is in definitely a very, very dire spot, I think. He's going to promote this active, or this damaged Noivern GX. I think that's very risky. Maybe he's planning on retreating at some point. This is just a little dangerous because if I get an energy, I can just knock out this Noivern with Tapu Lele on the bench. So he has a couple options. Looks like he attached the Psychic Energy, so he's planning on doing Noivern's second attack. He could have ended and tried to dig for a DDE to use on his other Noivern. That way it would be a much safer Pokemon in less you know, risk of being knocked out. Okay, so he is going to play the Choice Band down there. He is going to use Golbat to put 20 on the active. And it's just going to end both of us. So even though Marcus is attacking with this damaged one, he's doing the right thing. He's playing N just to limit my options. I've already gone through a decent amount of energy, and you know, going down to this 2-card hand, it will limit my options. I'm going to have a Dark Energy in order to take a knockout, but unfortunately for Marcus, I did draw both a Lele and a Versus Seeker, so I'm definitely going to be able to play a supporter on my turn. And unfortunately for Marcus, I'm pretty sure I have decent odds of hitting a Dark Energy. So here I'm going to use Lele. I'm just going to grab a supporter out of my deck. I'm going to go for Sycamore here. And as you can see, my deck's pretty thin. I think I have 2 or 3 Dark Energies still in there, so I do have good odds of hitting it. And yep, just going to Sycamore, getting a fresh hand of 7, and... Okay, I do have Salazzle, so that'll actually work the same too. So unfortunately, the burn and poison from Salazzle in conjunction with the energy I have in play will mean Tapu Lele could knock out that Noivern. So very unfortunate for Marcus there. Kind of narrowly lost that one. So Muk is making a comeback, but this is best 2 out of 3, so we still have one more game to go, and no doubt Marcus will want to go first in this this last game in the series. just to try to get that item lock as soon as possible. Okay, so as far as, adjusting strategies or anything like that, I think we both kind of have an idea of knowing how to play this matchup. The big thing that really, I think, hurt Marcus was that Parallel City. It was just putting in so much work, and one thing I think this Noivern deck has going for it is that most decks don't play Parallel City. So outside of this weird Alolan Muk deck, this Noivern deck probably won't have to run into that again. But unfortunately for Marcus in this series, I do have access to it. So if he can get his bench developed just before the Parallel City comes in play, he'll be in a fine spot. So here he does have a Zubat. He does have an Espeon EX in his hand. That could also potentially be a relevant card. He does have a Shaman in hand as well. He does have a Choice Band, so he actually has some options here. He's going to put down the Choice Band, and it looks like he's debating if he wants to use Setup. If he were to use Setup, he would only draw 2 cards, but I think I kind of like the Setup play, and we were talking about this after the fact. If he did use Setup to draw 2, he could still use Super Scoop Up to pick up the Shaman potentially to discard with his Sycamore. But here he is going to get down, it looks like a Magearna and 2 Zubats, so he's actually having a decent first turn. If he can get down another Noibat, that would be even better, but I think he's okay for the moment. Okay, so let's see, I have a double Colorless in hand. I think I saw a Wally as well. I could Wally into the other Alolan Muk to show off basic abilities potentially, but here I'm going to use Tapu Lele GX. Probably going to grab myself a Sycamore or a Bridget or something like that. So it looks like I'm eyeing down Bridget, and what I probably think I should do actually is just Sycamore this Bridget away, because I have a Sycamore in hand, and Marcus, as long as he gets a Noivern and Double Dragon Energy, he is going to be able to lock my items. So I think I want a Sycamore here, getting rid of this Wally N and Bridget. I'm not going to really need Wally here. And here I'm going to use 2 Versus Seekers just to get back Wally and an N. I'm going to get Wally just because if I don't have Alolan Muk for next turn, I can use Wally and just immediately grab it and evolve into it. But unfortunately, I didn't really hit much that I needed off that Sycamore, just a bunch of energy and supporters. But luckily, the Alolan Grimer's first attack for 0 energy will let me search my deck for another Alolan Grimer and put it on my bench. Here Marcus is going to end both of us. He did see me get back some supporters, so definitely seems good to end my hand away here. And let's see if he can grab himself that Noivern GX and the Double Dragon Energy. He does play 4 of each in the deck, so he does have decent odds of drawing into him. He's still, if he has Rescue Stretcher, he can potentially grab a Shaman to keep digging as well. And I do see Double Dragon, but I did not see a Noivern GX or an Ultra Ball in Marcus's hands. That's very unfortunate. He does have Golbat in hand. He could get that down. But here, if nothing else, Marcus does have the option. He can use Noibat's first attack for 1 energy, flip coins. If heads, discard an energy on your opponent's active Pokemon. So actually a pretty solid attack in this situation. So let's see if Marcus can flip, and unfortunately it's Tails. His flips were very unkind to him last game, and this game it's not going well so far, but here I do have Parallel City, which is going to add even more insult to injury. And okay, so it looks like I have Alolan Muk, have Sycamore. So I'm actually in a pretty good spot, and I have Salazzle as well, and that's really big. Normally I would hate taking knockouts on these little 1 prize Pokemon, but that's going to leave Marcus without a Noibat in play, which means I am not going to be item locked this turn unless Marcus has a Noibat Wally combo. Here Marcus hits another Tails on this Super Scoop Up. But okay, so he does have Field Blowers. He's actually in a decent spot now. getting rid of the Parallel City. Here he's just going to discard his hand and draw 7. And here I think he was like, oh wait, maybe I should have put that Zubat down. So I told him, yeah man, go for it. Put the Zubat on the bench. May as well. So let's see what Marcus is going to opt to do here. I do see Rescue Stretcher in hand, I believe. He does have Super Scoop Up. And he does get heads, so he will be able to pick up. Or I thought it was heads. I guess I was mistaken. I guess I saw it incorrectly. So was that 3 tails in a row so far for Marcus with his attacks and Super Scoop Ups? And he does have Rescue Stretcher in hand, so he can grab himself a Noibat to put back onto the bench. He definitely needs to get one down this turn. He's going to be in big trouble if he does not get one. Alrighty, so... And then we'll probably just see a pass, and I top deck a Parallel City again, so that's a very good top deck. So I'm going to get down on Parallel City, forcing Marcus to discard one of his bench Pokemon. Probably getting rid of this Zubat. Wants to keep that Magearna EX in play, just because its ability is actually very relevant against this Alolan Muk. But Marcus needs to make something happen on his next turn, otherwise he's going to be in a bad spot. But here I'm going to use Hex Maniac, and then just take a knockout on this Golbat. So even though I'm freeing Marcus of a bench spot, I am taking the option away for a Lele. Here Marcus has a Verse Seeker in hand. He can go for an N, which it looks like that's what he's doing, so we're going to both shuffle our hands into our decks. I'm going to draw 4 cards since I have 4 prizes left, and Marcus is going to get a fresh hand of 6. So maybe this will finally be the turn he grabs one of his Noiverns and Double Dragon Energies. And let's see. My hand is not looking too good though after this end, so definitely a good end on Marcus's part. And unfortunately, I just don't see a Noivern and Double Dragon Energy yet again, or Double Dragon Energy Ultra Ball or something like that. So definitely a really just bad game for Marcus so far. He's been flipping tails on everything. You know, he can't hit his Noiverns off of these supporters he's playing. From what I can tell, mostly he's doing everything that he should be doing. I think it's just some good old-fashioned bad luck. And it's kind of funny in a way. I remember the same thing happened in our last testing round series. We had a pretty back and forth game between a Kingdra and Darkrai deck, and then the last game in the series, Mark's deck just like kind of crapped out on him and just wasn't drawing well. He's playing pretty much what he needed to do and playing well, but just deck was just not working right. So very unfortunate. He's been getting some bad luck lately in these videos. But let's see what he is going to opt to do. He can play Verse Seeker and play N yet again. What he almost might want to do at this point is go for an energy denial strategy. If it gets far enough in the game and he does not have a Noivern, he does play Team Flare Grunt in his list, so he could just start going aggro Noibats and Team Flare Grunts to discard the energies from these Mucks, because they do have actually a very, very hefty attack cost, and that could allow him some time to get back into this game. He does draw Flare Grunt for next turn, so that's actually very important as well. So he might be able to pull off this strategy. So let's see, he is going to be able to use Noibat's attack. And I did not see the coin flip, but it looks like it was yet another tail. So I think he's, what, 4 for 4 on his flips being tails, or 5 for 5. Something like that. So just super, super unfortunate luck here. And it looks like I'm debating playing N, but here I'm going to go for an Ultra Ball. Going for a Lele instead, because I could end Marcus, but I knew he did not draw into a Noivern. So I really didn't want to refresh his hand. And besides, I would only get, I think, 2 cards or 3 cards off of that N anyway. So I think the better play is definitely just go for Lele to play Sycamore and refresh my hand at get 7. Okay, and I do draw into a Verse Seeker, so I might consider playing that just because it's, I don't know how many more turns I can get lucky with Marcus not drawing into a Noivern. So I need to go ahead and play the Verse Seeker for this Sycamore, it looks like, just in case I do get item locked on Marcus's next turn. But here I'm going to take a knockout on Noibat, so that's going to put me on the 2 prizes, meaning all I have to do is knock out 1 Noivern or 1 Magearna. And I do see a Flare Grunt. Oh, he's discarding the Flare Grunt. I actually really don't like this, to be honest. But he must need all of the cards that are in his hand if he is choosing to do that. So let's see what he is going to opt to do from here. Maybe it tells me he's going to play a Sycamore or something. But I definitely think the energy denial strategy is the way Marcus should be going here, because he's so far behind in prizes. He cannot afford to just kind of trade normally. He needs to do something else to slow me down at this point. Here he's going to end, which is decent because he will put me down at a low hand size, but at the same time, like I said, he absolutely needs to get rid of my energy. I think he just has to. So, you know, it's good he will be able to, you know, get a fresh hand and all that, but I think the energy denial strategy is too important at this point in the game here. And here it looks like he finally has plenty of Noiverns in hand, but no Noibats at this point. So here I am going to just Sycamore away my hand. Unfortunately for Marcus, the past couple games he's enemy to these low hand size, I've just drawn out of them immediately. I do have an energy in hand. I could attach to this Alolan Muk to try to start powering up another one. And I think I'm in a good spot because I can just do 120. And luckily for Marcus, he does have that Noivern EX in play, so that means I cannot discard its Double Dragon energy, because the Double Dragon provides a metal energy, which means it can't be discarded from effects of attacks. So Marcus is, you know, he's going to have to pull something crazy here. He's going to have to attack with maybe a Tapu Lele. That could be big. So he's going to go for a Tapu Lele. Let's see what he grabs here. He's going to go for another N. Okay, and it's just going to end both of us. But again, at this point in the game, I think he just has to get rid of energy. I don't know if he had the means to do it. I don't know if he had a Verse Seeker in hand. But that's going to be, I think, the only way he really wins. Just because this Alolan Muk can actually knock out this this Noivern here. And even if he doesn't get another energy, this Tapu Lele on the bench can knock it out as well. So he needs a Super Scoop Up. That's going to be pretty important here. I think if he wants any chance, he's going to have to pick up this Noivern and kind of sacrifice it with maybe a Zubat. Or maybe even like Super Scoop Up and then use Tapu Cure with this Tapu Lele to heal the damage off this Noivern GX. But either way, I definitely don't think it's a good spot for Marcus to be in at all here. Okay, so it looks like he is just going to retreat, realizing that he cannot afford to attack with Noivern at this point in the game. Here I'm going to, looks like, attach a Dark Energy to my Muk. Looks like I'm kind of second guessing myself, but I think it's fine to do so. And just going to take a knockout on this Zubat. Okay, so Marcus is going to play a Choice Band down, but I don't think it's too relevant at this point. He's going to Lysander my Alolan Grimer. And so one option he might actually want to do is consider using Noivern's GX move. Okay, well he didn't have the energy apparently, but he just did 50 damage locking my item cards, and here I'm just going to Sycamore my hand away, getting out another Alolan Muk. And I'm going to attach a Dark Energy, and I can still use my GX move, so I'm going to bring up this Magearna and Paralyze, Burn, and Poison it. So I'm kind of putting Marcus on like a one-turn clock. You have to make something happen here. And here he flips Tails on Burn as well. So literally Marcus has not hit a single coin flip in the course of this entire game. That's got to be very discouraging, needless to say. Here he's going to play Tapu Lele GX. He can grab Acerola. Looks like he is eyeing that down. I think he realizes he needs to do something like that. If he has a Guzma or an Acerola, either of those I think would be solid potential options. So if he goes for the Acerola, I think that's an okay play because it'll allow him to pick up this Magearna and then attack with his Noivern. So either that or, I don't know, Lysandering Lele, but even then I don't know how I feel about that. Or I'm sorry, Guzma-ing. That's a hard phrase to say. But here he is going to commit to the Acerola instead, picking up the Magearna, attaching the Double Dragon Energy, and I think Marcus needs to actually do Noivern's second attack. It'll do 150, and then it'll prevent me from playing Special Energy, which means I cannot play down DCE to knock him out with this Muck, but I do have my own Acerola to respond with. That means I can just pick it up and attack with my other Muck. And for the game, so I am going to take this series with Alolan Muk GX. Marcus got just, I think, horribly unlucky in that last game. I think there were a couple turns where he should have just concentrated on using Team Flare Grunt. I think that could have put him back in the game, potentially. It's hard to say, but I think that would have been a little bit better. But either way, I hope you guys did enjoy these early looks at these Burning Shadows decks. Definitely stay tuned. We're going to have the deck profiles posted in the coming days as well. But as usual, guys, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our merchandise over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to help support our channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.